Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fun, and this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a two-way nature right here on the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator, and live around the world on the interwebs at MichaelDukesShow.com, where you'll find links to the audio-only live stream, which, yep, I just checked. It's up and running. Also links to the podcast, which is available wherever you find good podcasts, including our personal favorite, Spotify. And, of course, links to our social media sites, including YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble, where we simulcast the radio show every day. In the video component of the show, we simulcast the show as a video on all those other platforms. So you get to see the magnificence that is me in this big fluffy beard today. My beard's out of control. Beard's out of control. The whole thing out of control today. Anyway, so if you could stomach that, you could head on over there, or you could watch it on the replay as well, which at any time you don't have to wait for it. You can just go find it out on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever you want to do. Okay, today we've only guest we've got today is our standard Friday guest, Willie Waffle, who comes in at the end of the show, in the second hour, at the end of the second hour, and shares with us the weekend entertainment and movie review. It just, kind of just a way to lighten things up a little bit, give us a little bit of levity before we dive into the weekend. Before we get too hot and heavy into it, next week we've got a couple different guests. I know Bernadette Wilson is going to be joining us next week, candidate for governor, and that should be a fun time as always. We're also going to be talking with Dr. Sam Azagarian, who they've got a new blood test out for colon cancer, and looks like we're going to be able to have him on the program to talk about this. Little bit of a breakthrough, some new technology, and he's going to be on the program on Monday? Question mark. This is why, Dukes, you should always have the calendar up in front of you when you're talking about this kind of stuff, so that you know for sure he's going to be talking with us on Monday at 7:05. And then we're going to be talking to Bernadette in the second hour on Tuesday, which means we're going to bump Chris Story over to Wednesday, or maybe we may bump him all the way off this next week. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so that's coming up next week. But today, it's all about firearms and the Second Amendment and gun rights, and it's just you and me. And there's a ton of stories to talk about that we're going to go through, and we're gonna discuss it. We're also going to open up the phone lines so that you can sound off and give us your thoughts on anything that we're going to talk about today related to firearms and the Second Amendment and everything else that we've got going on here. So it's simple. And remember, the one thing about the phone lines, by the way, is that there is no such thing as a dumb gun question. No such thing as a dumb gun question. So we could have answered the question a million times before. We'll answer it one more time for you. And yes, even a question as dumb as what end does the bang come out of? I mean, if you really need that help, we'll help you with it, because we believe that by demystifying the firearm and curing the ignorance of not stupidity, ignorance. There's a difference, right? Ignorance is curable, stupidity is forever, right? So we're just trying to do our best to educate the public and help people understand. That's really what Firearms Friday is all about. I started the program. I mean, first of all, I started doing everything on Friday simply because my former boss was mad that I was sneaking firearm stories into the daily discussion on the program. He's like, can you just, put all fire? He didn't care at the time. He's kind of changed his tune now, which is kind of weird. But at the time, he didn't, he wasn't a big fan of firearms. And I can't say that every listener out there is, just waiting for Firearms Friday. Although I will say an interesting sidebar. I'm going to be there's some squirrels in here today, right? Squirrel. I'm going to sidebar today, probably all over the place. But I do have to chuckle because I've been simulcasting the radio show onto Facebook, at least, for almost 10 years now. That we've been simulcasting the show in one form or another. Maybe 8 years. Maybe that's closer. Maybe 10 is pushing it. Whenever Facebook came up with a live feature, within about 2 or 3 weeks, we were on Facebook, simulcasting the show on Facebook. Anyway, I can see how many people are watching on Facebook. I can't figure out how many of you are out there listening on the radio. But I was a little surprised in the beginning, watching the simulcasting numbers, from Monday through Thursday, and then from on Friday, to see where it was at. Because whenever I would go out amongst the public and would be recognized, or somebody would come up and talk to me and say, hey, I listened to your show, yada, yada, it was inevitable that more often than not, somebody would espouse the idea that, hey, we really like your Firearms Friday feature. That's my favorite. And so I wandered around with my chest all puffed up thinking, my God, I've invented something new. It's great. It's a firearms show. I mean, they're so excited about it. And then when I started looking and digging into the metrics of the simulcasting numbers on Facebook and later on in YouTube and Rumble, etc., I noticed that there's that the viewership is actually smaller than the normal days of the week, than the Monday through Thursday segments. So, I mean, it's just one of those weird kind of things where you're like, maybe I'm just impressed with myself because it's my favorite topic. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I have some bias. So this is one of those things, man. What are you going to do? Anyway, Firearms Friday grew out of a lot of different things, but really more than anything, what we wanted to do, the royal we, me and the mouse in my pocket, what we wanted to do was to help educate people on firearms, because there's a lot of ignorance out there. And we're just here to try and answer questions and educate people. And hopefully by demystifying it and answering, because ignorance cures fear, right? There's a lot of people out there who are fearful, and the news media has done everything in its power over the last 40 years. It's ironic because on the one hand, they glorify the news and entertainment industry and everything, they glorify firearms violence on the one hand in their fictionalized stories and their action movies and everything else. And on the other hand, they terrify the public with all these stories about how, it's like Mogadishu and you could die stepping out of your house and doing all this other kind of stuff. And it's, there's some irony there. And all I wanted to do was alleviate some of that fear and just let you folks know that, a firearm is a tool like any other. It's, it's not like I'm going to go about running chainsaws tomorrow, because that would be foolish. And I'm not going to walk around waving a gun. That would also be foolish. And so we're just here to, educate, inform, and enlighten. That's what we're all about on Firearms Friday. So we've got some good stories up. This was, holy cow, guys. I apologize. I'm like wandering all over the place today. I love it. It's Friday. So anyway, the phone lines are this was all a big lead up to saying phone lines are open. Call now. And again, we will answer your questions. If you have a comment, if you have a range report, if you're interested in a new gun, and you want other people's opinion on it, we'll crowdsource the information. We'll do whatever we need to do. That's what we're all about here on Firearms Friday. We're here to help and to come out there and just, do what we need to do. Bring everybody in from the cold, and to enjoy a warm, comfortable fire where we can share our own personal thoughts on everything related to the Second Amendment and more. All right, so what are we covering today? Well, man, there's some doozies out there. Omaha has decided to go run against the grain, Omaha, Nebraska, and do a preemption thing against its citizenry, which seems to fly in the face of a lot of some problematic stuff. Let's just put it that way. We'll talk a little bit about that. The DOJ is now sending some mixed signals for gun owners who also happen to overlap with the marijuana users, which again is been problematic since the very beginning. We've got a report on CNN's from CNN rather on the Canadian buyback program, which I don't know if you've been following this, but there's a little bit of a revolution going on in Canada right now. I mean, you just think these guys they're so polite. Sorry. But I mean, they just, no, and the Canadian problem, it is, I think you could say it's a failure. That's, right now, it's a failure. What else have we got here? Oh, Oregon, there's now an investigation because one of the Democratic lawmakers is he's the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, is now under investigation for apparently bullying one of his fellow Democrats into changing their vote, which just sounds awesome. Just sounds awesome as well. And also, California's new anti-gun jihad is kicked off, where they're going to expand it into 3D printers. Now they're going to restrict whether or not you can buy a 3D printer if it doesn't meet their specifications. And so we'll talk about all that and more. Oh, and a whole thing from David Codrea. There's a whole thing on our newly appointed ATF director, Robert Cicada. So it's going to be interesting. So we got a lot of things to talk about. But again, I'd love to hear your phone calls as well, because that's my favorite part, quite honestly, is just hanging out with you guys. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. We're going to be back in just a moment. We'll be kicking things off. How about that? All right. We'll return in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based. Free thinking radio. Welcome to Firearms Friday.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Oh, see, Frank is always out here, says, and not only is Firearms Friday everything that I said it is, he said, and to promote fear about what could happen, maybe be a chance of happening when Trump says something on the Second Amendment. I don't know. Do you worship at the altar of Trump, Frank? I mean, are you saying that the guy can't be wrong, that he doesn't make mistakes, that his flip-flopping on gun rights is not a little troubling? I mean, if so, I think you're a little delusional on that. I think you're deluding yourself, because I think he would say anything that that he can to win the deal. I think he believes in the Second Amendment just enough to make sure that he's got the support of Second Amendment people. I'm not saying it makes him a bad person. I'm just saying it's his personality. And that if we don't call out the guys on our own team who are doing the wrong thing, then what else are we doing? Right? But I mean, tell me that tell me in all honesty, Frank, that you know who you are. I know you and I both know who you are. Tell me in all honesty, Frank, that you don't get a little concerned when he flaps off at the lips about something like this, right? Whether it's we'll take the guns first and worry about due process later, or whether it's, you can't take a gun to a protest, or any of the bump stock ban. Tell me that doesn't worry you at all. Tell me you're just you sleep like a baby at night, not worrying that he may change his stance on that in any moment. Now, I didn't bring Trump up. You did. So, but I really want the way you say that. It's like, like I'm a fool for wanting to promote fear, and that I am promoting fear about what could happen when Trump. Tell me that you're 100%. He's going to look out for us no matter what. I'll wait. I'll wait for that. We'll see. Anyway, good morning to everyone. Going back here, Michelle. Excellent firearms courses offered in the Matsu to women by qualified instructors. Sure. Yeah, there's several different instructors out there, including my friend Donna Anthony, who's got Point Blank. They do an awesome thing out there for sure. Oh, I guess I forgot to turn on the comments. Sorry. Bill, who's out on the East Coast, he said, a little observation, went to Walmart here last night. I was actually a little impressed at the long gun selection they had. Was better than the Kenai Walmart. That's awesome. That's awesome. Miguel said, what? Your former boss not letting you speak on your First Amendment right to speak about firearms? Really? No, that's not what it was. He was the one that suggested maybe to squeeze it all into one day. And by the way, I have a First Amendment right to speak, but that doesn't give me the First Amendment right to speak on somebody else's radio station, right? So don't get it twisted. And he listens today. He listens. I mean, he's out there. Don't put words in my mouth, Miguel. It's not what I was saying. It's not what I was saying at all. Let's see. Apparently, Bernadette and Mike are in Fairbanks today and tomorrow. I'm strolling backwards here. 13 degrees. It's 18 degrees, and the wind is blowing like a banshee outside. Minus 13 in the Hook. And then Brian says, you found a new beard wrangler in Homer? Yes, I have. I just I've been busy, man. This morning I was like, I brushed the whole beard out and it was like, wow, this thing is out of control. Anyway, you guys don't need to know about my grooming habits. I didn't even see this comment before from Frank. Wonder what Trump said this week to upset MD. I don't know. I mean, I'm not following it that closely. All right. I think we're ready to go. I think I've gotten to all the comments. You guys are all pretty low key today. Where is everybody? Here we go. Let's do it. The Michael Duke Show.
What the hell is an assault weapon? Does that mean that if we hurt your feelings, you should consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can accept that. Here's Michael Dukes. Kind of a dick, but somewhat funny.
Kind of a what? Man, why's he got to be so mean? I am kind of a jerk, though. Anyway, welcome back to the program. It is Firearms Friday. And, you know, all I could say is that gun grabbers are going to gun grab, right? Authoritarians are going to authoritate. Nebraska lawmakers approved permitless carry back in 2023 in Nebraska, right? Which, I mean, when you think of Nebraska, you're thinking this isn't really like a really, anti-gun. This, you think of kind of like middle America, you know, they're kind of in the middle of the road. You know. Well, no, the politicians in Omaha and Lincoln, they lost their minds. Permitless carry in our state? We can't have that. So they enacted new measures that prohibited firearms on all city property in both Omaha and Lincoln, Nebraska, as well as banning bump stocks and ghost guns. Now, if anybody has been following the, judicial, if you've been following the battle for the Second Amendment, you realize that that might not fly. In addition to that, Nebraska also has a preemption statute on the books, which, just for those of you who don't know, preemption statute means that the states themselves reserve the right to regulate firearms only to the state. You know, that's a state issue that a city can't decide arbitrarily. I mean, the whole state, whatever, pick a state, whatever it is, that they have some of the laxest or most supportive pro-Second Amendment laws out there, or lack thereof of gun laws. And some city in the middle of the state decides we're going to outlaw all guns. Well, the preemption means that the city, as a subdivision, a political subdivision of the state, does not have the authority to do that. Right? That's preemption. And Nebraska has a preemption law. So therefore, the Nebraska Firearms Owners Association filed a lawsuit against both Omaha and Lincoln, and went into town. Now, the lawsuit against the city of Omaha has thrown in the towel after they retracted the executive order banning the carry on city property, because they're not even gonna do that. And in fact, they pull it out, and that has already led to a dismissal of that case on the grounds that it was now moot. But at the same time, the same judge who declared that lawsuit moot actually sided with the city over its ban on bump stocks and ghost guns, despite acknowledging that the preemption law did exist and that the state statutes prohibits that political subdivision from regulating ownership, possession, storage, transportation, sale, or transfer of firearms or other weapons. That's the language. And she ruled that the city's prohibition on bump stocks, though, which allows semi-automatic firearms to act as automatic weapons, which is untrue. That's not, this is the, sorry. This is the verbiage from the Omaha.com newspaper. The prohibition on bump stocks, which allows semi-automatic firearms to act as automatic weapons, passed via ordinance, was legally sound since LB 77, the preemption law, did not address bump stocks. No, wait a second. She noted, this Judge Leanne Serb, who is the judge in the case, she noted in her rulings that bump stocks fall within the meanings of firearms because they are essential components to the operation of firearms, and that therefore, how could she argue that it did not, because it's a firearm at that point. She also upheld the city's ordinance on prohibiting untraceable guns, known as ghost guns, which is not just 3D printed guns, but that's, if you want to make a gun in your basement, that was the other thing. The Firearms Association and gun owners argued the city's ban violated the law, said since, again, such guns could be turned into firearms as defined by LB 77, but that didn't convince it. She also appears to ignore another statute that allows cities of the metropolitan class like Omaha to punish and prevent the discharge of firearms, fireworks, or explosives of any description within the city, other than the discharge of firearms at a shooting range pursuant to the Nebraska Shooting Range Protection Act. Now, again, there's some legislative cleanups that really need to be made in here, because it would, if you actually read into the letter of the law, it looks like that in Omaha, the law would actually ban the discharge of a firearm in self-defense. So if you had a firearm, they could hit you with this law if you defended yourself. But it's just, again, gun grabbers gonna grab. That's what it is. That's all you can see here is gun grabbers gonna grab. They're gonna try and do a death through 1,000 cuts. This is the same thing that was going on in Hawaii with the safe space deals and everything else. They're going to try and find every little lever that they can to try and remove your ability to exercise that right, no matter what. Because they know better than you they know better than you how to protect you. And it's to disarm you and allow criminals to run rampant. You won't have the ability to defend yourself, but because criminals ignore the law, they'll be able to do it. And that's how they're going to keep you safe. Tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong on this. Tell me that that's changed as well. All right. What else? Tom Knighton over Bearing Arms writes about this, and it's just again, you want to talk about a little schizophrenia I guess we are going to talk about Trump. Frank was complaining that I was always beating up on Trump over some gun law or something. But I guess I will call a spade and ask the question about this, because ever since we've seen this push to legalize recreational and medical marijuana use across the country, to which I'll be honest with you, I'm not opposed to. I mean, I really don't care one way or the other. I know a lot of you are out there clutching your pearls about, oh my God, how could it be so? I mean, we've had alcohol in this country for years. And if you thought that the prohibition on marijuana was doing anything, I mean, if you knew how many times I ran into a professional prior to the legalization effort here in the state who was basically using under the Raven law. I don't know if you know about the Raven in the state of Alaska. I mean, I just, again, if you want to drink, fine. If you want to smoke, fine. If you want to use marijuana, fine. I am ambivalent to it as long as you're not hurting anybody else. You do you, boo. Right? But the problem is that when you've got a federal law that says something is illegal, and then you have a state law that legalizes it, and your firearms rights are regulated at the federal level, we got a little bit of a conundrum there, right? It's a little bit of a problem. I mean, do you fill out a 4473 and say that you've never been, you don't use or been under the influence of, because if you say, yes, I have, and you're honest about it, well, that you would disqualify yourself from being able to own a firearm and maybe potentially open yourself up to, getting in trouble for that. If you lie, you're definitely going to be in trouble, right? This is part of the problem. But we keep hearing about how this is the kinder and gentler DOJ, and they are supporters of the Second Amendment no matter what. Right? But the DOJ, the supposedly pro-gun DOJ, is now not just defending the inconsistency of enforcement, because it used to be like, we're going to turn a blind eye to marijuana being sold out of storefronts, even though it's illegal under federal law. But if someone, but if someone goes to one of those storefronts and buys something and also owns a gun, we're going to prosecute them. Right? So not are they just defending the inconsistency of enforcement, but they apparently have a view of enforcing the law which is completely inconsistent with itself. The U.S. Justice Department is again defending the federal law prohibiting people who use marijuana from owning or possessing firearms, in part by drawing a contrast between those affiliated with gangs and the hypothetical frail and elderly grandmother who uses medical cannabis. Right? It gets better. In a brief filed with the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Eighth Circuit last week, attorneys for DOJ said judges should uphold the earlier denial of a motion to dismiss the case, U.S. v. Baxter, where the defendant was convicted of violating a known statute of Section 922G3. 922 is all the gun regulations, right? So this is being a marijuana user and owning a gun. As in multiple related cannabis and gun cases, the Justice Department argued that disarming people who use marijuana does not constitute a violation of the Second Amendment because the law is grounded in historical precedent with the country's founding. Specifically, the federal government claimed there are relevant historical analogs prohibiting gun ownership by the mentally ill, those who induce terror, and habitual drunkards. This is the standard. This is the standards. The DOJ said, quote, because Baxter's marijuana use makes him a particularly dangerous gun possessor, this court should affirm the denial of his motion to dismiss. In defending the position, the department made repeated references to an earlier case that went before the Eighth Circuit Court, that's U.S. v. Veasley, in which the court indicated that historical precedent might not justify disarming a frail and elderly grandmother who uses medical cannabis and keeps a gun for protection. So we got a double standard here. Notably, the DOJ said in its latest filing, disarmament of drug users is comparable to founding era laws only if it is limited to those who pose a danger to others. The Second Amendment, for example, may tolerate disarmament of a PCP user, but not a frail elderly grandmother who uses marijuana for chronic medical conditions. So the question is, who decides where the line is on that? Where is, who decides whether the possessor is particularly dangerous? That's the question, right? By the way, a lot of the analogies and the analogous laws that they're using prevented people from owning or possessing firearms, not owning, but possessing firearms while they were drunk. Not that they couldn't own a firearm while they were drunk. They just couldn't possess it. So you could have them up in the cabinet, in the case, in a, wherever, in the gun safe, and you could get a little liquored up, no problem. You just couldn't carry it around. That's the difference. Here's the thing about this. This whole case is around Baxter v. U.S., right? Baxter wasn't a convicted felon. Now, they suspected him of some gang activities, but according to what I'm finding and what Tom Knighton had found, he's never broken any laws. He may have been a pot user and he may have had a gun, but he's never broken the law. Now they tell a tale of, well, he's been using pot since he was 13 and that makes him a habitual user. I know people who've smoked since the age of 13 or drank since the age of 13, but they still function in daily life. Are you going after them? But because he's a habitual user, that makes him particularly dangerous. Now, he's only 22. And again, never been convicted of a crime. How can you say somebody is particularly dangerous at 22 when they've never been convicted of a crime? And never, I mean, they have suspicions. So the suspicions are enough to alleviate that. As I said, this is always going to be problematic when you're dealing with the Second Amendment. And I know many of you are out there like, I don't like the marijuana is the root of all the devil's lettuce. Okay, great. Feel that way. I mean, I personally don't care one way or the other. Right? I don't think that the government should. I think people should be free to do what they want to do as long as they're not hurting any other people. That's just my personal, there's my libertarian philosophy that you can get mad at all day long. To me, I'm like, I don't think there should be a law regarding that. And I definitely don't think that they should utilize one law to infringe on a fundamental right, like the right to keep and bear arms, from somebody else, especially if they're going to turn a blind eye to it. But this DOJ, again, supposedly the most pro-Second Amendment DOJ in history, has got some schizophrenia going on here, man. I mean, come on, man. Between this and last week's story about them continuing to prosecute NFA violations or to push for the NFA list to be, I mean, I don't know how pro-Second Amendment this DOJ really is. I really don't. Anyway, that brings us up to the next break. We gotta use, we'll continue here. We got to go. Hour one continues. We got Willie Waffle coming up next. If you think I'm wrong, I mean, if you were like, no, you're wrong, Dukes, because, I mean, 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. Feel free to call us up, and we'll discuss it. The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Nice beard.
The Michael Dukes Show.
Okay. Hold on. My wife got this for me. Because she loves me. She really loves me. It's propolis. Propolis. Made with buckwheat, honey, elderberry, chaga, immune system elixir. It tastes like, it's delicious. It tastes good, and it coats the throat, and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, sorry about that. Let me go back up here. Anthony says, good morning, Anthony. Our legal system is the problem. There are zero levers or mechanisms by which we should allow any form of infringements. My rights don't stop at the point where you become scared of a tool. 100%. He says, I mean, shall not be infringed is pretty cut and dry. Didn't say unless it's a machine gun but if it makes the soybean people cry. Agreed. And he goes on to say, out here giving the weed people problems. Meanwhile, we still continue to pretend that dudes who believe they're a lady don't have a mental issue on the background checks. How many potheads have engaged in mass shootings again? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I've known a lot of people who smoked pot over the years. It's not my thing, right? So it's not, but I've had a lot of people and friends, and dude, they're all mellow. I just don't see them going out on a shooting spree. Do you? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's been crazy. All right. Man, says Fat Ray, if you think making murder illegal is stop murder, woohoo. Anyway, what was that about other things that are harmful? I mean, we're trying. Lay down. My dog is in front of the light. Hey, lay down. There you go. Lay down. Yeah. I mean, again, we've made murder illegal, so that's going to stop. Don't worry. It's going to stop everything. Chris says, I hate driving past people smoking and the smell fills up my car. Me too. You know what I hate? I hate getting behind a car that has bad rings and it's burning oil and it fills up my car. It happens. What are you going to do? That's, Jay Leno said about 25 years ago that he knew marijuana would be legal because every law student that he knew smoked it. Yeah. I mean, again, if you thought that those laws were stopping, what everybody was shocked about after the passage of the marijuana legalization in so many states is people were shocked at how many professionals showed up at these dispensaries. That it wasn't just stoners, dude. It was like, lawyers, doctors, engineers that instead of going out and buying a 30-year-old bottle of whiskey, they'd go get the latest strain of whatever. For real, says Anthony, the only mass destruction I can see my pot indulging friends engaging in would be the pantry and a mass casualties of Pop-Tarts. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Renee said, yes, we just get happy, not violent. There you go. The DOJ seems to be pro-pedo protection. I can only see a tangential connection to the supposed 2A support, says Brian. And it's interesting because I was about to get into Stephen Gutowski over at The Reload. He's got a whole series of stuff, a whole series of articles about the connection to Epstein. And Epstein seems to have had a fascination with firearms. And there's some interesting things. I haven't gotten all into it yet. I was just reading over it last night and this morning. But yeah, the DOJ. Sorry, not my favorite organization. Not, I trust him as far as I could throw myself at this point. That's about it. All right. What else do we got here? I'm all yeah, Chris is like, yeah, it makes me sleepy. Right. You don't want to run out there and rob a liquor store. You're just like, no, I think I'll just sit on the couch and watch my toes for a while. Again, folks, just let people be people unless they're doing something bad and then punish them for it. That's how it's supposed to work around here. All right. Well, we're 30 seconds away from returning to the radio. And if you want to sound off, 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Feel free to dial us up and talk with us on this beautiful Firearms Friday.
What the hell's an assault weapon?
If we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems.
Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Duke Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
Okay. Continuing on hour one, and the phone lines are open. I'm surprised that I haven't heard from anybody today, especially when I took that stance on the whole marijuana and firearms thing, because I thought for sure that somebody out there would call and correct me and tell me how evil it was and everything else, but that's fine. Again, I just, the problem with regulation of any kind is eventually there's going to be so many of them that they're going to be codependent on each other, and you're eventually going to bust some laws. You're eventually going to bust some laws because there's so many of them. There's so many you just don't even know at some point. And really, again, my philosophy, if I was God, Emperor, King for a day and could make any laws, it would be that you could pretty much do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt anybody else or infringe on their rights. And the moment you do, we drop the 10-ton hammer on you, right? That would be the thing. That would be the thing. Okay. 3 Felonies a Day. Yeah, that's a great book, by the way. 3 Felonies a Day. If you haven't read that book, is it John Fund? I can't remember. Let me see. I think it was it John Fund? No, it was Harvey Silvergate. Harvey Silvergate. The book is called 3 Felonies a Day: How the Feds Target the Innocent. It's a fascinating book. Fascinating. Absolutely. Anyway, what did I want to get to? Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. These guys, they just can't help but double down on stupidity. And I'll be honest with you, I think Canadians are starting to get a little irate and wanting to push back on that. They've had a gun buyback program, it's a confiscation program with a payment element. They're calling it a buyback, but it's been in the works for 6 years now, I think. We're going to get into the details of this right now, but at this point, it's really been an utter failure. And even CNN can't ignore the fact that they're having a few problems with their buyback. But before we get to that, we did get a phone call. It's Fred from Rhode Island. He's operating behind enemy lines in Rhode Island. Fred, what's on your mind, my friend, today? Fred, go ahead. I can hear you. Can you hear me? No. Fred, call back, because I don't know why, but I can hear the dead air, but I can't hear Fred. I don't know. Let me see. Let me just make sure,
All participants are muted.
Yeah, I can still hear the phone system, so it's still there. But it's it's one of those things. Fred's gone. All right. Well, we'll wait for Fred to call back and give us a shout. 319-527-3864. If you want to sound off and be part of it as well, we'd love to hear what you have to say. Feel free to give us a call, and we'll start the conversation. Otherwise, I'm going to push this Canadian thing off to the other side of the hour, because I really want to get down into this. There's some interesting things happening out there. I mean, it makes me proud to be a Canadian. I mean, I'm not Canadian, but it would make me proud to be a Canadian if I was living in Western Canada and seeing what the politicians there were doing, because I think they've had just about enough of what's going on in. Is it Ottawa? Is that the cap? I'm showing my ignorance here. It's Ottawa, right? Ottawa is the capital of Canada, Canada. So anyway, they've had just about enough of the nonsense from the Justin Trudeau type crowd over there in Canada, and you're starting to see some serious pushback from some of the various states, especially the Western states, who have had just about enough of that nonsense. They don't need any more. All right, let's go over here and see if Fred can hear us now and see what's going on. Good morning, Fred.
Morning. Isn't technology wonderful?
Yeah, it's awesome. I don't know why your other phone doesn't like my phone, but anyway, what's on your mind today, Fred?
Anyway, yeah, you mentioned earlier about these, was it Nebraska and a few other states,
right?
Mostly conservative up to this point in time, conservative states, and now all of a sudden they're coming up with this, this progressive liberal anti-gun nonsense. It just goes to show that, the progression of these gun grabbers and the whatever's behind that, the moms and the this and that, and every town for gun safety, Bloomberg and the Soros and the clowns like that. They're pushing their influence on each. They're going to the red states. They're basically going into all the red states, and they're trying to contaminate the legislature there and influence them into pushing gun control. Because this is what they do. And if you can't see it, you obviously you got to be 100% blind if you can't figure this out.
Right. Well, that's part of the problem here is that you see states like Montana and Wyoming, which in the country are all very conservative, and yet you get down into Cheyenne or you get into Billings or some of the cities, just like Nebraska, but you get into Omaha, and all of a sudden it's this blue dot in the middle of the red field, and they're going to make everybody around them see sense by cracking down. And that's, again, I think it's that urban-rural divide, Fred.
Well, I think it's beyond the urban-rural divide. It's a contamination of our system, is what it is. And it's Bloomberg money, it's Soros money, it's all this international globalist money that's coming into our cities, our communities, and our conservative states, right? And especially the conservative states, because that's what they're targeting. They're going for the jugglers, what they're doing, and they're going to try to influence them by one means or another, whether it be political contributions or monetary backings for different things. Where that's going. It's going right into the pockets of a handful of people of influence.
No,
they're gonna push us.
Well, they're going to put them all they're going to put them all in the cities, and they're going to control them all in the cities, and they're going to use their big elite pools of money to basically mandate what they want, and that's what you're seeing in these cities, Fred. And that's what it's all about. Hold the line for me, buddy. I'm up against a hard break here. I gotta go. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Hour 2 is dead ahead. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. If you got to go, be kind, love one another, live well. Hour 2 up next. All right, let's go back over to Fred real quick. I hate it when we run up against the top of the hour like that and have to break. But, that's the problem, Fred. Again, you look at this and you see that there are states out there that, generally speaking, are conservative states, red states. But you get to their capitals, you get to the heartland, you get to this one mega city, and it's all blue, right? Texas, mostly red. You get to Austin, ooh, not red, Again, Wyoming, great, and then you get to Cheyenne, and it's blue. It's kind of crazy, but it is that urban-rural divide. And that's where people like Soros and the other elites, they've poured their money. They're supporting those kind of things. And it's kind of like a cancer in a lot of ways.
Well, it's beyond, it's beyond, I would say, circumstance. It's planned, it's deliberate, it's an attack. Basically, you could say it is an attack, to take down, to get rid of once again, to get rid of I won't say the Constitution and Bill of Rights, but they definitely want to amend it into some kind of open cesspool of nonsense, as opposed to what has been in play for 250 years, and there's never been a problem until these clowns showed up on the scene.
Right. Well, and of course, I would say that it's intentional. Again, to paraphrase, to say what I said earlier this week, that they're all in it together and they're all doing it on purpose. Sure, if you've got a red state, but you can focus all your attention on the capital city, like Cheyenne or Billings or in this case Minneapolis, or if you've got a state that's fairly conservative, but you can focus all your efforts on the capital city, and you could turn the whole state, because if you control the laws and the lawmakers of the state, you can do whatever you need on top. I mean, that's what it's all about. Did I lose you, Fred? I lost Fred. All right. Well, that leaves all the lines open. 319-527-3864. If you want to sound off. That's what Richie says. Richie came from Minnesota. He said, that's Minnesota in a nutshell. The utopian TikTok-educated purple-hilled Prius pilots in the Minneapolis metro keep the current leadership in place, and the only way to resolve any of it is to vote with your feet. And that's, I mean, maybe that's what has to happen. Maybe that's what has to happen. Terry says the urban-rural divide, Anchorage. Yeah, I mean, you're seeing some of that stuff right there. Rick says, you haven't played the murder gun clip this morning. I just played the murder gun. I just played that thing. Although Anthony said, this audio clip always makes me lose faith in humanity. I cannot contend with a human being so intellectually devoid of any semblance of reality actually believing there's a murder gun classification. I will... She's joking, dude. I don't know if I ever told you that, but she does, this chick does, that clip is from like 12 years ago. And she does it's a comedic thing. She's pretending to be a dumb blonde. But that does remind me, it has been a hot minute since I played the whole murder guns clip. Maybe I should just, yeah.
As a single woman, you feel a little unsafe, and so I'm exhausted because I've been gun shopping. And I went into the store, and the guy was like, yes, ma'am, can we help you? And I said, well, yeah, I came to the gun store for a gun, but I would like to buy a protection gun. And he's like, okay. And he was kind of laughing at me. And I said, I don't want a murder gun. I want to buy a protection gun. And he looked at me like I've been hit with the stupid stick one too many times. And he said, ma'am, which really made me feel old. But he was like, ma'am, all guns are the same. And I was like, no, they're not. And he was like, yeah, they are. And I was like, no, they're not. I watch the news, and I know that there are guns that attack people and there are guns that protect people. And I would like the protection kind of gun. And he was not real helpful. And so I bought a pink one because pink's like feminine. And I thought, well, that's probably the safer bet because there's more crazy men than crazy women in the world. And actually, I'm not sure that is true, and we can take that one back until I can be sure. But if we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, then I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems. But someone's going to have to educate the people selling them because he didn't know what he was talking about.
He just didn't know what he was talking about. Oh, and she went viral with that clip, man. That made her YouTube career or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it is so hysterically funny because she's like, I listened to the news. I listened to the news. Yeah. But that's what people think. She's joking, but really that's what some people think. They actually believe that. Well, there are these guns I have heard about the guns that just attack people. You have? Wow. Mine's been sitting there for about 6 months just on the shelf. Hasn't hurt a fly, but All right, Miguel's on the line. We're going to jump over to him here in just a minute. Hold the line, Miguel. The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense, Liberty Base, Free Thinking Radio.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Duke Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Duke Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
It's my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, it's for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature right here on the Michael Duke Show. It's the one day a week that we dedicate to guns and the Second Amendment and firearms and so much more. We just played the murder guns clip in its entirety at the top of the hour because somebody was complaining about, anyway, it was, boy, I needed that. I was laughing. I got a little tear in my eye. I was laughing so hard. Anyway, good stuff. Welcome back to the program. Open line, open gun forum today. There's no such thing as a dumb gun question. And if you want to sound off or ask questions or discuss anything related to the Second Amendment, now's your chance to do it. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. Miguel is on the line from Fairbanks. Let's bring Miguel on and see what he has to say. Good morning, my friend. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, Mike, and good morning to everybody. Enjoying this cold weather up here. Just wanted to say, you ever notice that people that are against the Second Amendment have that could afford it, have the highest security guard team with the most equipped weapons? I mean, they're carrying MP4s, Glock 9s, 45s. Their security details unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And they want to go against people that believe in the Second Amendment and everything else.
Yeah, no. You watch somebody like Michael Bloomberg, who is the biggest anti-gun warrior out there, right? Billionaire Michael Bloomberg, but he's got a 5-man security detail with micro Uzis underneath their coats. You know what I mean? I mean, that's all okay for him, but not okay for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the hypocrisy. And then when you try to call them on it, they look at you like you're crazy for believing in the Second Amendment. I mean, that's our right to bear arms. I mean, concealed carry is good. Open carry, if you want to do that, state of Alaska is allowed. I just don't think nobody has a right to, including our administration, to infringe on our Second Amendment rights.
No, again,
that's what our forefathers put it there for.
Well, it's like old Chuck Heston just said at the opening of the show. The Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. It's the one rights that allows all the other rights to exist at all. I mean, you can't defend your right to free speech. You can't defend your right to your own home and your own peace and property. You can't defend all these other rights without the ability to defend yourself. And that's the thing that they seem to keep missing.
Yeah, and if I haven't read up on it in a long time, but last I read on it, I thought there was somewhere in the Second Amendment is for us to protect ourselves from our own government.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is. I mean, that is a big part of it, is the tyranny of government. It is the stopgap. And by the way, it's not, this is the thing that I like to point out many times. It's not an overt threat. It's not that people are walking down and walking into their congressman's office with an AR-15 strapped across their chest. It's not an overt threat. It's an implied threat. The politicians know that they can go only so far and no further before they push Americans into a corner, and we say no. That's what it's about, right? I mean, it's that implied power of saying you work for us, not the other way around.
I think that's where our state is pushing us Alaskans to a point of no return there. That's a good example right there, Mike, of what's going on in our legislation.
I mean,
people get pushed to a point of no return.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy. And yeah, the founders, they wrote about it. They talked about it. I mean, that's Jefferson's famous quote of the Tree of Liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. I mean, he believed in that. He knew, he understood that's what it was about. And that's what the Second Amendment is. It's not about hunting. It's not about target practice. It's about protecting yourself from outside threats, footpads, bad guys, criminals, and from the tyranny of an overreaching government. That's what it's about.
Yeah, people forget, and I've said this in the chat room before, drunk drivers kill more people than guns.
Doctors kill 10, 15, 20 times more people than guns as well. So, yeah, I mean, there are many ways to die, and a firearm, you're less likely to be murdered with a firearm than you are, almost any other way to die out there. And that's if you take the suicides out, right? It's only about 10 to 15,000 people a year are murdered in the United States. It's a tragic number. Don't get me wrong. Those are tragedies, every one of those. But when you're talking about a country with 330 million people and you have 15,000 murders, that's a pretty small number overall.
Yeah, yes, it is, Mike. And I appreciate your education on Firearms Friday. For those that don't know, or those that are just getting into the hobby, it's good that you have Firearms Friday to take a break from the Monday through Thursday. It's good to educate people, and sometimes you inspire even me to go out and get a new gun sometimes.
Well, there you go. Hey, it's never a bad day to go out and buy a new gun. That's all I'm saying, Miguel. Any day is good. So, all right. Well, thank you. Yep. Thank you so much for calling in, Miguel. We appreciate it. That leaves the lines open if you would like to sound off on this Friday. And if you can, feel free to disagree. This is not just all pat us on the back kumbaya. If you want to disagree with something I said or Miguel said, feel free to call up and we'll discuss it like, rational, reasonable human beings. 319-527-3864, 319-527-3864. Speaking of what Miguel was just talking about, which was, these elites who've got who want to take away your Second Amendment rights, but at the same time, they've got theirs. They've got theirs. Jazzy from the streets. Remember Jazzy from the streets? That's Representative Jasmine Crockett, who has, she's, I didn't think that anybody could prove themselves to be dumber than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but here she is. Here she is. I mean, she has said some amazingly stupid things, but she is a super vocal opponent of the Second Amendment. Now, ironically enough, she thinks she has a chance of becoming one of Texas's 2 senators. She's running for the Senate in Texas as an anti-gunner, which seems stupid enough to begin with. But at the same time, this is what kills me. At the same time, she believes that what's good for you, that what's not good for you is still good for her. She doesn't believe that you should have the ability to defend yourself. She doesn't believe that you should have the right to keep and bear arms. And in fact, she's gone on repeatedly about how we should defund the police and everything else. But a new report has just come out from the National Shooting Sports Foundation. They dug into Jasmine Crockett's Federal Election Commission's filing. This is for her senatorial campaign in Texas. And the National Shooting Sports Foundation has done a breakdown of a lot of this stuff, that she has spent $124,000 of campaign funds on luxury 5-star lodging, limousines and high-end transportation. Oh, and on security. Last year, Crockett paid $80,000 for private security. It's not good enough for you, but it's good enough for me. This Bodai needs to be protected because I need the protection. And I'm going to use $80,000 of campaign funds to do that. Again, this is the same woman that in 2021 was calling for the defunding of all police, defunding about being fiscally responsible. And again, this woman is so stupid. If you watch any of her commentary on there, I mean, it is just you get dumber just by watching the things that she says. So maybe don't do that, but maybe read a transcript. Maybe you can shield yourself from the dumbness by reading the transcript instead of actually watching her speak, because I can feel my IQ drop as I watch this chick. She's a moron, but she's figured out how to work the system, baby. $80,000 on her security. She also, by the way, spent $12,000 of campaign money on 5-star top name hotels across the country: the Ritz-Carlton, the Hotel Zaza, the Kimpton, the 5-star Los Angeles West Hollywood edition. She also spent over $5,000 on limousines in the Bay Area alone, with a total of $12,000 on limousines and luxury car services in 2025. You poor plebes. You have to drive your own vehicle or a pool vehicle. No. I take luxury limousines. I take luxury limousines and car services. And I stay in 5-star hotels while I'm trying to convince you that I'm the gal that's going to come in and strip away all your Second Amendment rights. $80,000 in security. Now, quite honestly, that's a pretty small security team, or pretty small I guarantee you, because if you've ever seen Michael Bloomberg, he's got like 3 ex-Navy SEALs around him, all of them armed with, subcompact machine pistols or something under their coats. I mean, I guarantee you Bloomberg is making her look like he probably spends $500,000 a year on security. But again, none for you. Only for him, none for you. But Crockett, she's figured out how to do it. She's taking her campaign funds and making it all, no, we're going to expend that. So Miguel's right. Whether it's Bloomberg or one of the senators who has Secret Service details, or any of these others knuckleheads who are spending big money on security, it's all for them. As long as you don't get a chance to do it, everything is going to be okay. I mean, $80,000. I couldn't drop $80,000. You know what? It's a lot cheaper just to carry a gun. And I could take a hell of a lot of courses for $80,000 a year. That's amazing. That is amazing. All right. I'm up against the break. We're gonna go. Back with more. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Dukes Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Oh, we're gonna get back to Canada here in a minute. Oh, Canada. We'll be back with this right after these brief but important messages.
Tune in Friday for our weekend entertainment and movie streaming review with our guest critic, Willie Waffle. That's actually his real name. Really? That's his real name? Man, his parents must have hated him. The Michael Duke Show.
Okay. Let me get caught up here. See what's going on. Terry said she needed that laugh this morning. She that from listening to that I mean, you can listen, I just giggle every time I listen to some of this stuff because it's like, what did you just say? What the what?
Put a pistol on a brace, it turns into a gun. Makes it more. You can have a higher caliber weapon, a higher caliber bullet coming out of that gun. It's essentially turning it into a short barrel rifle, which has been a weapon of choice by a number of mass shooters.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
God have mercy on your soul. Yeah, no, it's just, you could listen to this all day long. Whether it's Dick Durbin, whether it's Chuck Schumer, whether it's Carolyn McCarthy, whether it's Joe Biden, whether it's Donald Trump. I mean, there's some dumb stuff that people have said out there. I mean, come on. Frank says, out of the last 10 presidents, who was the biggest supporter of the Second Amendment and who never made any firearms restrictions? Calvin Coolidge. Is that within 10 presidents? I don't think that is. I think that's outside of 10 presidents. Because what was it? It was Trump, and then Biden, and then Obama, and then Bush, and then Reagan, and then Ford, and then was it LBJ, right? And then Kennedy, Roosevelt. Well, that's outside of 10. So out of the last 10 presidents, who was the biggest supporter of the Second Amendment? Kennedy, I guess would have to say, because I don't think he really didn't push anything in that time frame. It wasn't until 1968 that things got really tough. And, of the last 10 presidents, none of them have been big supporters of the Second Amendment. Reagan was a mess. Reagan was a California Democrat who had some great ideas fiscally, but was a total hot mess when it came to firearms rights. I mean, it's, yeah, there's not, Richie said, I remember seeing many years ago a guy with a bumper sticker that read, my gun is safer than Ted Kennedy's car. But there we go. Whew. Man, everything just locked up. Okay. Justin just said, Texas forgot the Alamo. You look what's going on in Texas. It's terrible. I mean, I think Texas, the problem is that Texas is experiencing a massive influx of California refugees. And so you're going to see a bluing of the state just from flea states because of what the policies that they supported wrought upon the state. And then they bring those policies to the new state and it starts all over again. But it's a hot mess. The people who can't stomach the idea of protecting themselves and their families are the same people who couldn't slaughter animals to feed themselves. They will farm out their basic responsibilities to live to others to protect their fragile belief systems. I mean, yeah, exactly. It's easier. It's, it does not, the train car, the elevator does not go all the way to the top on these people. They cannot think about that. Reagan was not really a 2A supporter. He also signed the undetectable firearms and later supported the Brady and assault weapons. Yes, I mean, I agree. I mean, again, Reagan was no friend of the Second Amendment. That's, that's part of the problem there. Okay. Why would they support the 2A? That's the biggest threat to their absolute power over the citizenry. Exactly. And I think that's why it's been one of the biggest pushes out there that you're seeing, for sure. We don't care about Texas and Alaska. Well, we should learn the lessons, Jeremy. Otherwise, we'll go that way.
What the hell's an assault weapon? What isn't? If I assault you with a penguin, doesn't that make it an assault weapon? Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
Okay. We are back. We've got nothing but assault penguins and trunk monkeys here. That's all it is. Assault penguins and trunk monkeys. That's gonna keep me safe. You got to feed them though. That's the problem. Man, have you ever tried to carry an assault penguin? Oh, tough. Hard to find a holster for that. All right. Well, I have so many stories and I've gone off. This show has gone off the rails. I still haven't. We haven't talked about the hearing for Robert Cicada, the new ATF head. David Codrea has written about that. Also, over at The Truth About Guns, Mark Chestnut is writing about a demand that 27 U.S. congressmen and women, Congress people, whatever, critters, have written a letter to the ATF, to that Robert Cicada, asking them about the registry, the reported registry of over 1.1 billion guns. That this has been going around for a while, that the ATF has been taking all the forms, the 4473 and the logbooks, from dealers who have gone out of business, because when you close your firearms business, you have to turn over all your forms and everything else over to the ATF. And the rumor has been that they have been cataloging that and categorizing it into a database, which is illegal. It is explicitly outlawed and disallowed by Congress that the ATF's not supposed to do that. So 290 days ago, 18 members of Congress first submitted an inquiry on this, and they have not been given a response. They've not received a response. Now, ironically, none of those 18 members of Congress were part of the Senate nomination, the confirmation committee, where they got to ask a lot of questions to Robert Cicada. This letter was addressed to Cicada, but none of these questions nobody asked a question of Cicada about the database, the gun registry, which is rumored to be out there. And we still haven't heard that, one of the main representatives on this is Michael Cloud, a Republican from Texas. And his final comment on this says, your continued refusal to provide basic information raises serious questions about whether the ATF, despite changes in leaderships and stated priorities, remains in compliance with several congressional appropriations restrictions, a federal statute, and the 2nd and 14th Amendments. Congress needs current information in order to inform its funding decisions. Once again, we write to receive an immediate update on the total number of out-of-business records the OBR Center is currently maintaining, including digital and hard copy record estimates, and all other questions included in our letter sent on February the 14th of 2025. We're officially 360 days away from that. I mean, yeah, this is I just don't even know what to say to that. Are they going to answer you? They're not going to answer you. Meanwhile, over in Canada, they are continuing their nationwide gun buyback of banned firearms. And you haven't heard that it's been great. You haven't heard much about it, in fact. Most of the recent headlines about the compensated confiscation, and that's what it is. It's not a buyback. It's we knock on your door fully armored and loaded, and you give us your guns and we give you a few bucks. But most of the headlines have centered around the localities refusing to participate. Most recently, the police department of Kingston, Ontario, declared it won't be involved in the federal effort, citing concerns related to the program's design, implementation, and the potential impacts on local policing resources and public safety priorities. The buyback is off to such a rough start that even CNN is reporting on the criticism, though it studiously avoids calling it a failure by any means necessary. Now, not all firearms have been banned by the Canadian government. Part of the problem is that Canada has a huge amount of guns, and the program only has enough money to collect 136,000 firearms. But Canada has roughly 2 million registered and 10 million unregistered guns, according to the Small Arms Survey from 2017. So they've got 12 million guns, but they've only got buyback money for 136,000. Now, not all of the guns have been banned, but it's fair to say that there's a lot of people out there who are basically getting to the point to where they're just not interested in participating in the madness of disarming honest, law-abiding citizens while failing to crack down and fix the problem of criminals doing criminal things. The most friction appears to come from Western Canada. The province of Alberta said it won't participate in the buyback and, in fact, barred its police force from taking part. Saskatchewan and Manitoba have also said they won't participate. According to Terry Bryant, Alberta's chief firearms officer, who spoke to CNN from the sidelines, said, "We've made it clear from the beginning we aren't going to participate in this scheme. They've had 6 years. If they really thought this was so important, they could have set up some kind of mechanism to answer a lot of the problems that people were having with it." In a statement to CNN, the Ministry of Public Safety said that in the absence of provincial approval and police cooperation, the federal government will be sending, quote, mobile collection units, unquote, to retrieve prohibited firearms from their owners. Oh, good. The decision of local police forces to not administer the collection of firearms will not prevent the federal government from collecting through these MCUs, said the spokesperson. But Terry Bryant, again, Alberta's chief firearms officer, said she doesn't know how those MCUs will operate in Alberta. She said these mobile collection units would need a seizure agent license from us. They haven't even applied for one. Oh, I love it when they use bureaucracy against each other. You got to have a license to seize those things, and we issue it. You haven't even asked for one, and we don't think we're going to give you one. I mean, this is nuts. But it's refreshing to see. It's refreshing to see that that Canada may potentially, some of them, may be finally coming to their senses and saying, I am just not interested in participating in your nuttiness. 12 million fine. They only got enough money for 130,000. I mean, yeah. The Alaska Study Group just sent me the Alaska Study Industry. We need to spend millions to study this for our legislators to ignore. Oh, man. It's, again, guys, this kind of stuff, you just can't make this stuff up. A bunch of do-gooders believing that they know better than you how you should live your life and how things are going, and that they've got it handled, but they still have their own private security, by the way, and everything else. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. There you go. Anyway, we're running out of time here, so we got more coming up. Willie Waffle is going to be joining us coming up on next week's program. We've got on Monday we've got Dr. Sam Asgharian, they've got a new blood test, a new technology that's coming out to predict and treat colon cancer, or I guess discover colon cancer. And then Bernadette Wilson's going to be joining us on Tuesday in the second hour, right after Brad Keithley. And we'll be we'll be enjoying that on Tuesday of next week. So make sure you tune around. You come around and tune in for that. Wow, it's amazing. All right, my friends, we're coming up on the break. We got more coming up. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Back with more right after this.
Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, in the break here. Frank says, oh man. Kim says, who's the best president that supported the second in the last 19 years, Frank? Well, that's a good question. That's hard because they all did horrific things. You had Gunwalker, you had the Fast and Furious scandal under Obama, as well as Operation Choke Point, which continued, by the way, through the first Trump administration and into the Biden administration. Biden had the Bipartisan Safer Community Commission, which also created some real problems. And, of course, you had Trump, who outlawed the bump stocks. And under Biden, you had the arm brace problem. Man, that's hard. Who's the best president in the last 19 years? I don't know. Frank says he thinks it would be Trump. He got rid of some firearms. Which restrictions did he get rid of? He instituted the bump stock ban. So which restrictions did he get rid of? I guess you could argue that in his second term, he did stop the prosecution of the arm brace issue, although I think that had more to do with the Supreme Court than the presidency. So, I mean, I think that's part of the problem here. Women's hockey won gold over Canada. Woo! Woo! Jeremy said, I'm a little disappointed in Bernadette for not showing up at the District 8 meeting on the Kenai. Yeah, me too. I'll be honest. I was hoping that she would be there, but I guess we'll see. Jeremy said, yeah, I just watched that bobblehead Jasmine Crockett on for a good laugh every now and then. Yeah, I mean, she's a moron. She's an idiot. But she's a powerful idiot. She's got a lot of supporters. A lot of those people, those talking heads on the left, they're out there. Yeah. You're a genius. You're a genius, Jazzy from the streets. Bill Clinton was responsible for more gun sales during his administration because of the assault weapons ban. Actually, Obama was the best. He was the one because he had come out and said it. That I think Obama still holds the record for most guns sold prior to his inauguration, I think. Anyway, I think he's still listed as the best salesman in the world for guns. All right. Well, we'll see what happens here. I just part of that was the Supreme Court overturning the Trump tariff should make construction of the LNG project cheaper. Yeah, the Supreme Court overturned the Trump tariff. So, I mean, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. $175 billion to be refunded to other nations. 175 million. Billion, rather. $175 billion. It's crazy. Okay. Oh man. I need some fun. We need some relaxation. Let's get into this. Relaxation. Let's do it. Have a good weekend, Rick. I probably missed him already. That was 8 minutes ago. Sorry about that. What? Oh, I was just going to say, what? Jasmine Crockett. Her and the Bronx Turnip, AOC, are quite the pair and indicative of how far we have fallen as a republic. Yeah, I mean, when these are the kind of people that can get elected and be in power and continue to stay in power when they show their I mean, did you see AOC's response? I mean, even I, who's not really paying that close of attention to national politics, even I caught AOC's response to the whole Chinese Taiwan question. I mean, if that just wasn't like all you could see was the spinning logo of thinking. I mean, she had no answers whatsoever. All you have to do is watch one of her little selfie videos that she shares to Instagram or whatever while she's cooking or what. I mean, just like, wow. What is going on with you? You are a moron. How did you get elected? Ooh, Night Agent Season 3 is out. Oh, I think I know what I'm going to do this weekend. We're having fun talking about the Lord's lettuce. Please pass the chocolate. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. Look, you guys, I got stuff to do. We got to do this. The phone's ringing. Let me turn off the other phone. There we go. Turn off the other phone. Phone's ringing. Let's do it. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Okay. Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com comes in every week. Damn it, I said the website again. Willie, what is the matter with me, man? Can you just please put a splash page there with your picture that says this website's down and stop telling Dukes to keep giving the address out? Seriously.
I probably need to do something like that. You know, that would be how a professional website would run. You know, and I don't know if I qualified ever as professional enough, but you know, maybe there's time to turn a new leaf.
You know, you should
there's time to grow.
You should just point it at your IMDb page. That's what you should do.
I do not have one of those.
Oh,
I
you
will
don't?
admit that.
Oh, you don't?
I do not.
I actually have an IMDb page, which is funny.
That's awesome.
Because I appeared on several episodes of Ice Road Truckers on the History Channel. So yeah, I have a very brief IMDb page, which is funny. But anyway,
that's cool. No, I have only very tangentially appeared in one movie in my life. And it was a movie Jamie Kennedy did about all the critics he hated because of all the things we said about Son of the Mask, the you remember the Jim Carrey sequel?
Yeah.
And he very vocally and vociferously had a commentary about my review, which was in the movie and in the trailers.
Oh my God.
When the trailer came out, I'm literally getting calls from friends like, Jamie Kennedy hates you, man.
Oh, man. What are you going to do? Can't please everybody. All right, well, let's get to the
original bidding process. They are making a full run at this. Now, the Warner Brothers board says they still support the Netflix deal. They still are going to advise shareholders to support it. But that was a couple of days ago. Let's see where they are on Monday when the 7 days is over and they've talked to a few folks and they've gone, oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, well, if you have to pay a $2.8 billion penalty, the deal's got to be higher than that. So yeah, it'll be questions to see where it goes from there. How much was the deal worth to begin with? Do you remember?
Oh God, I forgot how much it was worth, but like a ton of money. Is that an actual financial
That's
term?
an actual
It was
term.
a ton of money.
A ton.
It was a ton of money. I forget how much it was, but it was a lot, people.
What we call.
I mean, isn't this? I mean, seriously, isn't this like you're like the night before the wedding, and all of a sudden your ex-boyfriend shows up and says, "I can change. I can be better. I can make good for all those things I did wrong before." This is crazy. This is crazy.
All right. Well, we'll have to see where this goes. Yeah, that's a metric crap ton of money. That's the technical term. Yeah.
That is the official technical term. Yes.
We'll see what happens with that. Okay. What else we got here?
How about we have Baywatch? Did I tell you Baywatch is making a comeback? I believe I did. Yes. Baywatch is going to be revived by Fox Television.
Okay.
Yeah, of course it was Fox, baby.
Of course.
Of course it was Fox TV. And so it's going to be debuting during the next TV season, the 2026-2027 season.
Right.
Now, I don't know if they'll be in the fall. This sounds like they should roll it out in January when we all want to see beaches and well, let's be honest, good-looking people in skimpy swimwear. And so the big announcement this week was that they have brought back one of the original stars.
Okay.
Maybe not original.
Right.
But he's very famous. He's somebody you will remember from Baywatch. David Chokachi, who played Cody Madison, the boyfriend of Pamela Anderson's character on Baywatch. And he's gonna play his character again, Cody. Now that Cody's moved on, he's running a bar on the beach. All the lifeguards hang out there, and well, don't you know it? Every once in a while, he puts on the Speedos and does a shift as a lifeguard as well. And now this is the interesting part to me too. So it's going to center around the character of Hobie Buchanan. If you people remember, that was David Hasselhoff's son, his character's son in the original series.
Okay.
And now he's grown up and he's got dad's old job running the lifeguards, but he's not played by the same actor. He's now played by Stephen Amell. Because they need a good actor.
Oh yeah, because
he's
good actor. Stephen Amell's good. I liked him on Arrow and a couple other things, but yeah, I've never ever seen a single episode of Baywatch. I mean, I could just never.
How did you miss out on this?
I could just never bring myself to. I mean, why? I mean, why? That's all I'm saying. Why? Why would it? Go ahead.
I can explain why.
Okay. All right.
As a single man in the 90s, it was quite entertaining every week. And, it was in syndication, so you had various different places you could catch it during the week. And it was just fun, and it was campy, and it was over the top. Oh, did I mention Pamela Anderson in like swimwear? I'm not going to lie. That was a big selling point for me.
Well, I was married in the 90s, so I guess they must explain it all, right?
That's the difference. My roommate and I were single guys in D.C. who didn't have any dates, and we're like, let's watch Baywatch.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, it's a whole thing. All right. So Baywatch comes back next year, 12 episodes. We'll see what that looks. Well, I won't see what it looks like, but what?
They're going to go into production soon. They're actually having open casting calls right now for various characters out in LA.
Okay. Okay. Again.
So head on down. This is your chance.
Yeah.
You could audition. You could be on the show.
Nobody wants to see me in a Speedo. I don't even want to see me in a Speedo. Okay. All right. Let's go over to where we at time wise here. I think we got time for Miley. Go ahead.
Oh, did you want to talk about Miley, or do you want to talk about Stephen?
No, let's talk about Stephen Colbert. I mean, Miley,
yeah,
going back as Hannah Montana. I mean, I'm just like, what kind of storyline could that be? She's on crack, and this is her life now.
No,
I mean,
no. It's an anniversary special that will air on Disney Plus next month, And it's going to be a lot like the Friends reunion, where they're going to interview her and other stars, and they're going to go behind the scenes, and they're going to have like the replicas of the set so they can go around and reminisce about their favorite moments. It'll be nice.
Okay.
It'll be
all right.
nice.
That's all like whatever. Okay. Stephen Colbert. This thing is a he said, she said. I didn't do it. They told me not to do it. The FCC's involved. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge mess, and I think I can tell you who the winners are. I'll tell you that in a minute. So, for folks who haven't been following the story, Stephen Colbert was going to have, I believe his name, James Tallarico, who is a U.S. Senate candidate down in Texas. He's a Democrat. There's a Democratic primary going on. There's a Republican primary going on. There are many candidates who would be very, very happy to appear on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And before the show aired, allegedly, CBS said, you can't air that interview. We have to worry about equal time rules. This isn't the right thing to do. Now, CBS argues that's not what we said.
Right.
We said we gave him several options about how to handle this because of concerns that the FCC is now raising about equal time rules for television programming.
Right.
And so he ended up running the interview on YouTube, where there is no equal time provision at all. And Tallarico has just he's won over a lot of donations from Colbert fans. They've been sending him money all week long. The CBS affiliate in Dallas, Texas, has been selling political ad time to all the candidates like crazy this week. That's who's winning, man.
Yeah.
That's who's winning.
The stations are winning.
Now the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, has come out and he said, yeah, we do have some concerns about equal time. Why a talk show is not a news program.
Yeah.
And this is where you and I were having the conversation.
Yeah.
This is interesting territory to go into here, people.
Yeah.
You go first.
Yeah, no, I got to say, I'm very concerned about this because he actually even said that it applies to both TV and radio. Radio has been out of the equal time business for quite a while, simply because it was so hard to put together. But if the FCC is going to start, enforcing this and putting this out there, it makes it very difficult. If you're a news program, you can get a news exemption. Now, the question is, are you a news program or not? And I would argue that this show is a news focused show. It's a talk show, but it focuses on news. But it's very iffy. It's very iffy. And because it's a gray area, stations are going to want to tread lightly, because if there is a violation, you got lots of stuff to lose if it's a violation, and nobody wants that right now.
No, nobody wants that. Now, I'm with you. I think how you define what is a talk show is going to be a debate and a battle. Is The View a talk show? Is Stephen Colbert a talk show? Is the Sean Hannity program a talk show? What's news-based? How do you define that? I think it's very slippery slope. I think it's very difficult. Does a talk show or a commentator show, if you will, on CNN or Fox or MS Now, do they get an exemption, whereas a program on something like ABC or NBC or CBS wouldn't necessarily be considered newsy? You're really kind of picking and choosing, and I thought that's why we have this thing called the First Amendment, so that we're not picking and choosing.
Well, I actually have to agree with the Democratic member of the FCC board who said, basically, there's radio out there that I don't agree with, and I just don't listen to it. I go listen to the stuff that I want to listen to. So do we really need to be involved in this? And I think that's a great question, but we're running out of time here. We got to move on. It's going to be interesting to watch. Colbert made a lot of sunshine with it, made a lot of hay. Tallarico's making a lot of money, which may have been the whole point. This might have been why he did it that way to begin with, to make the kerfluffle and kind of as a middle finger to the FCC. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other way Colbert benefits, he's looking like the rebel. He's lining up the next gig. Why, he might even be trying to get kicked off of CBS early so he can start the next gig.
Yeah, I mean, he just might go out on the internet. We'll have to see. All right, well, let's move over to the movies and the streams. We're running a little late. We have about 3 minutes here,
sorry.
so
Okay.
no, that's fine.
All right.
What do we want to do? Worst to best, quickly on the worst, whatever you want to do.
Yep.
Hit me with it.
I will go short on the movies that I don't think are that exciting, and that would be Psycho Killer. And this is the horror movie about a Kansas State trooper who witnesses her husband being murdered and decides to leave her job and chase after this guy. And what she finds is even more frightening than you could ever imagine. And that's where the movie goes off the rails. It's crazy. This is just it starts off as a very average movie. Decent actress in Georgina Campbell, who plays the trooper, but it's just there's no good character development. The writing's horrible. The story twists and turns are ridiculous. I'm at half a waffle. We're moving on.
Oh, half a waffle. All right, move on, my friend. Move on.
Okay. And that would be How to Make a Killing, which is in theaters. And this is Glenn Powell, who's kind of a blue-collar guy. He's been disowned by his wealthy family. His mother was kind of the gal who got pregnant out of wedlock, and was tossed aside by the family that the father came from, right? And so, he has found out that maybe what he can do is he can get rid of everybody in line of succession so that he could be the sole heir of this very rich family's money. And so it's kind of like this dark comedy. It almost makes you relate to him, right? Like he's kind of getting revenge on really bad people.
Right.
Like he's taking money away from people who you don't want to get it. You've also got a little bit of a crime aspect that I think is a little underplayed, right? Like, let's be honest. If you committed this many crimes against one family, don't you think CSI and Law and Order would be all over you? I just have this feeling. I'm at 3 waffles. It's an interesting movie. If you're into that dark comedy, you have that dark humor.
I just don't understand why 15 members of this family died. It must have been all accidents. Okay, let's move on. Yeah.
And all in the line of succession to inherit Ed Harris's money.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. All right, we got about 45 seconds here. Rental on Hulu with Brendan Fraser. I've been looking forward to this. Hit me with it.
Yes, this is Rental Family on Hulu. Brendan Fraser is an actor living in Japan who's fallen on hard times, and the best gig he can get is to work for a service that you can hire to, he can be your friend at a party. He could be somebody at your funeral. He could be, somebody like a guest at your wedding, somebody to be like a human being for you. And he gets in too deep when he becomes friends with one of his clients, and he's supposed to stand in as the long-lost father for a little girl who really needs a dad. I know. It's so good. It's so good. It's so emotional. Forget about the movies about killing, okay? Get on Hulu. See a movie that's going to make you feel stuff, man.
Yeah.
I'm at 3.5 waffles. It's really good.
And Brendan Fraser is such a great actor. I mean, I know he's funny and he does the action, but, man, he can really pull it out when he needs to, and I look forward to this. All right, 3.5 waffles for Rental Family on Hulu. Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you again soon.
Talk to you next week.
All right, folks. We'll see you then. I mean, Brendan Fraser, the guy can, I'm sorry. I know that, Encino Man, The Mummy, you're like, George of the Jungle. You're like, this guy is just, he's a comedian. He's this, he's that. But, man, he can really, really make it work.
He is fantastic. And the reason I love him in this movie is that it is not an overpowering acting performance. It's a very subtle performance. It is nuanced and it is emotional without chewing up the scenery and without trying that hard. I think he realizes as an actor, this is pretty good material. This is a really good story. So, he can portray the emotion in a very, very honest way, in a very, very relatable way. I mean, there's goofiness to him that you find very, very charming. There's this side to him that you see emerging. You see, his character's loneliness that is emerging, and how, while he's saying those people, they're helping him. They're helping him bounce back from his life. And there's a whole kind of in the movie about, how fake is some of this, and should it be more real? Like, the company that he works for, I'm not going to get give away too much. They also, and because you're just too much of a coward to really face your wife
To
and
just break
and
it
tell
off.
the
Yeah,
truth.
yeah.
So how many of their cases, how many of their clients are people who just don't deserve the service versus a lot of the people that Brendan Fraser is working with who are lonely people, who are forgotten people, who are people that are looking for connection.
Yeah.
And now both of these people have formed this human connection.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well,
yeah.
3.5 waffles for Rental Family. What are we doing next week, Willie?
It is Scream 7, baby. That's right. This franchise will not die. They're coming back for another one. Just hold on to your horses, baby.
Did Neve Campbell come back for this one? That's what I want to know.
She did, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So she, for people who remember, she was in the last sequel a little bit towards like on the tangential side. She kind of appeared, and in this movie, she's full on like one of the stars.
Yeah, she didn't get so high and mighty like she did last time. Where I'm just not going to do. I'm a serious actress. No, you got to get paid. That's what it's all about. All right.
And I think somebody raised the pay too.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Willie. Thanks so much, my friend. It's good to talk with you. We'll catch you next week. Okay.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, folks. We'll see you guys on Monday. Be kind. Love one another. Live well. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you then.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.